What's up, guys? So today's gonna be a different format than usual. Usually when we go to a new country, we sort of post a first time in, like first impressions video of the new country and just sharing what it's like. And we were gonna do that for Nicaragua, but then we got detained because of a mistake that we made, and we just wanted to share that so that no one else makes the same mistake that we did. So we started our day like any other. We left our Airbnb, everything was charged. We were gonna make a first time in Nicaragua video. First thing we did is we went to a coffee shop.
Yeah, let's check it out.
How does it feel getting recorded by a big brand new camera now?
A little weird.
Yeah? They do not mess around with vlogs here in Nicaragua. Good morning from Managua, Nicaragua.
This is our first time in the country of Nicaragua, and we're super excited to explore.
Let's go get some coffee. ¿Tienes café, no?
Sí, cappuccino, caffè latte.
Sí, un cappuccino, por favor. It's like nobody here.
It's so hot.
Yeah, you have this
Summer.
glaze on you.
It's humid.
First things first, on our first impressions of Nicaragua is the coffee here. I'm super excited to taste this. We're at Café Flor de Jinotega. Jinotega is a city, and I believe the north of Nicaragua. Central America is really good for growing coffee beans just because the soil is extremely volcanic, which just gives it this unique, rich flavor. So without further ado, you put like cinnamon on top, I'm so excited. I got the cappuccino, it's so rich, so good, insanely creamy. And it's just so much stronger than coffee anywhere else in the world. Okay, I've been on a hunt our entire travels to find a coffee that Reyka likes. She just doesn't like the taste of coffee. So what do you say? Do you have it in you to try some Nicaraguan coffee? Doesn't do it.
While I don't love coffee, I do love going to coffee shops for the overall experience. And this coffee shop is super local, super awesome. And one thing that I think is so cute is on the tables, they have little coffee beans inside. What a nice little unique touch.
Gotta get those cinematic walking away shots, right?
So every $1 equals 36 Cordoba, and our total cost of the coffee was 66 Cordoba, which is $1.79 USD. That is amazing if you think about how beautiful and well done the coffee was and how much Wyatt was able to drink. Good
I
deal.
agree. The coffee shop was awesome, super friendly guy. The coffee tasted delicious. And then we started just walking around, and I think we stopped by like some sort of war memorial. One of my first impressions of Nicaragua is how few tourists there are. I haven't seen any other gringos, which usually we do. But that might be just because we're in Managua, which isn't super touristy of a city. We are getting a lot of looks like, what are you guys doing here?
All right, we gotta get some cash because there is an Uber-like or like transportation app, but they only take cash.
This is what Nicaraguan Cordoba looks like. Volcanoes on it, classic. I always enjoy going to different stores, grocery stores and convenience stores in different countries, just because you get like a little taste of what people buy there. What they've done right there is they've taken a school bus and they've cut one side off of it, and they still have the chairs inside, and now it's like a little sit-down area.
That's clever.
Yeah, you gotta appreciate the ingenuity. That's super cool. Look at that. It's a school bus. Wow, there is a lagoon up here.
Wow, it looks better than in the pictures.
Yeah, it
I
does.
wasn't expecting much, to be honest, but it's actually really pretty. We are standing in front of Managua's most recognizable landmark, which is the silhouette of Sardino. Sardino is actually a revolutionary leader during the rebellion against the United States in the 1920s to the 1930s.
One thing I've realized traveling around the world is just how many events the United States has played a role in, either good or bad, depending on how you look at it. But it's like, it's played in so many different historical events that they don't even teach you about them all. Like, I had no idea we were even involved with Nicaragua at any time.
And I think it's important for us to continue to learn about them.
100%.
Then we decided to go to this park that had a beautiful lake.
I don't think we saw any other gringos that whole morning.
Yeah, it was very eerie because there's just nobody there.
These are not very comfortable. I don't think they're made for large-sized people.
This park's got a lot of fun things for kiddos. Or me. This horse, his name is Humphrey. It's a good boy. And no one else is here. Why is no one else here?
This is where things started to go wrong.
So for some background, we bring our drone with us traveling the world. For the longest time, we would look up requirements like, oh, can we bring it to this country? Can we not? But for some reason, this country, Nicaragua, we just didn't look. Drones are not allowed in Nicaragua. We did not know that. And so we flew the drone, just flew it for like a minute. There's no one around this park. It was empty, middle of the day, super hot. I was like, okay, I'll just put it up. No worries. I'll drone this pretty lake, get a nice view of Managua, bring it down. No worries. And then in about a minute into the drone being in the air, a man walked up and then he was like, did you guys just put a drone up? And I was like, yeah, we're just filming this pretty lake. And he was like, okay, you need to bring it back and then I need to see your identification. And I was like, okay, are you police? He said he was, and there was another man on a motorcycle right behind us. They weren't wearing uniforms and I asked to see their ID card and it was like the most flimsy thing. I feel like you could have made it at Kinko's or any paper supply store. Like you could just get a card and laminate it. I thought it was fake. I thought he was just like a pretend cop trying to just get a cash grab from us because we've heard stories of that kind of thing happening. Bring the drone down and we start panicking.
And then what freaked me out and started making me freak out was when he said we had to go down to the station and he had to take us there. And that's when I started to get freaked out because if he really wasn't a real cop, where was he going to be taking us? And I didn't want to get in a car with strangers.
Yeah, so he said all that.
And nobody was around.
To verify, so it was kind of a thing where like by going with them, we'd be risking it. I'm like, Reyka, these guys, I don't think they're legit. Let's just apologize and leave. So we just kind of walked away and they didn't try to detain us or anything. But the guy did say like, you can't escape. So we hightail it out of this park, down this thing. And then I'm like, okay, we got to get somewhere where there's people like witnesses in case they try to like kidnap us or anything. We went to a mall. We talked to a few locals. We're like, hey, this just happened. They didn't have uniforms. I feel like they all kind of confirmed what we said. They're like, okay, I don't think there's uniformed cops around. We hang out on these seats and then all of a sudden the same two guys like walk. We're on the second floor of a mall like 2-3 blocks away. So they must have asked a bunch of people where we went. They find us and they're like, listen, you guys got to stay here. We have backup coming. This is all in Spanish, by the way. So like we speak pretty good Spanish, but when you're so stressed out, it's like hard to make sure that you're understanding everything correctly. And then we're freaking out. Like we still think they're dirty cops, but we think they're about to bring a bunch of people to like bring us somewhere.
Really? At that point, I figured they were real, and that was when I was really starting to freak out.
We called our Airbnb host, and he was out of town, but he sent his wife. She didn't arrive about 30, 45 minutes. So in that time, we also called the embassy. They didn't pick up, but we left a message. Anyway, so we did all this, trying to mitigate as much risk as possible. And then everybody arrived. And there were probably about 8 or 9 like people in full camo.
Yeah, they were
military garb.
They
honestly.
were legit. Yeah.
And so did our Airbnb host. And she tried to explain to these people what was happening. They're all holding huge guns. They're like, no, they got to come with us. Outside of the mall, there's this big police truck. We got in the truck, takes about 10 to 15 minutes. So then we go through this gate inside. There's like a couple buildings and stuff. Get out of the truck. They make us take everything out. They look at everything. They examine everything. We get taken inside. We're together. They force me out of the room. Reyka stays in there. I go down. I turn around. And I'm asked questions for about 3 to 4 hours. Why are we in Nicaragua? How did we get the drone into Nicaragua? Why are we filming stuff? Where are we from? What happened when I left the room?
When you left the room, there was this woman that started questioning me, and then 2 other guys showed up. One of them knew somewhat of English, and the rest of them didn't know any English. They probably spent about an hour of the 3 hours that I was there discussing my work, because I worked for a nonprofit organization at the time, and it didn't make any sense to me at this point. At first, it was really intense, but then eventually I think they started to figure out that I really was a tourist and not anything crazy. And so they started joking with me and like laughing and stuff. And like, they were like, do you miss him? I was like, can I please see Wyatt? It's been like 4 hours. Like after a point in time, I calmed down, and then I was just to the point where I was like, I need to see Wyatt. And they finally brought me to him.
What we learned later is that 5 or 6 years ago, Nicaragua went through a pretty brutal civil war. And during that time, there was a lot of humanitarian journalism that happened. One of the things they were worried about is that that's what we were doing. We were coming to Nicaragua to sort of smear the current administration. So that was the number one. The second one is they thought we might be like literal spies. They contacted Interpol to see if we were international criminals. So the spy thing was particularly because we didn't know this at the time, but we learned later from like asking some friends we made. Where we flew the drone, that pretty lake, it was, without our knowledge, right next to both a military installation and a prison. They let us go, didn't fine us or put us in jail or anything. They took the drone. They gave us everything back. I was really glad to get the camera back. And then they drove us all the way back to our Airbnb. They were never really unfair throughout the whole time. They were kind. I just don't want it to be like oh, boo-hoo, Nicaragua. I honestly think they handled it pretty dang well. We continued on our trip. We're going to post 4 or 5 videos from Nicaragua. We honestly just wanted to make this video so you don't make our same mistake. Don't fly a drone in Nicaragua. And whenever you go to a new country, if you are going to fly a drone, make sure to look up the rules. Respect the rules. Don't do what we did. This was all our fault. Definitely
One of the scariest.
One of the most uncertain I've ever been if I was going to get out of it. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all there is. Oh, whenever we left, we got our drone back, by the way. We're going to ask for our drone back. Apparently, the officials should have it here. So they literally had it waiting for us at the airport. So we didn't get fined, kept our drone, didn't have any jail time. So it's kind of like
the best case scenario.
Yeah. It's like, if you told me that when we were first detained, I'd be like, no way. Like, we're going to jail for days. We're going to have to pay thousands of dollars, and we're probably going to lose our camera. Crazy.
Thank goodness this is the last time we have to talk about this.
Yeah, honestly. We'll see ya in, Leon. We're going to eat a bunch of Nicaraguan food. It's super good.
All right, bye.
Bye, guys.